Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. I'm Joe and this is my little channel, Random Computes. Today we thought we'd mess around with the RAM, see what happens if you don't read your manual and install your RAM wrong. We'll also see if 3 actually slows you down or if it runs okay. I've seen a lot of Reddit posts saying that if you have 3 it'll slow all your RAM down to single channel. Or I've also seen people saying it's about 50-50, people saying that it'll only slow down that one stick and the rest of your RAM you're running dual channel. Well, let's do some tests and find out. For our first test, we have an Intel Extreme DZ77RE-75K motherboard. We have an i7-3770K. We're using one RAM module. It is in the incorrect slot. If you look in your motherboard manual, it'll tell you how to put your RAM. We're going ahead and put it on this one because I think that's a pretty common mistake. We'll see what that does to our performance.
For the first test, we got one stick of RAM, single channel, 8 gigabytes. In memory mark, we scored a 2056. Grand Theft Auto 5 seen a little bit of stutter as seen by the 0.1% low there at 5. Overall it was playable with just a little bit of stutter. Cyberpunk seen about the same, 0.1% of 5 frames per second. Seemed to be a little bit more stuttery than Grand Theft Auto 5, but still not too bad of an experience. Here's the Cinemage score with just a single stick of RAM.
So this is about the most common mistake that I usually see on Reddit posts or anything like that is people will add another stick of RAM, but they don't look at their manual and they just put it side by side. And you have channel A here and then channel B. You only use channel B if you have 4 sticks or maybe 3 sticks.
Second test, 2 sticks of RAM but still in single channel. Grand Theft Auto performed about the same as it was before. Cyberpunk actually performed worse than it did with just a single stick. Seen quite a bit of stutter on this one. There's the Cinebench with 2 sticks in single channel.
Alright, so this is the correct configuration for this motherboard. Some of them actually have it the other way around, but you need to check your manual just to see how it's supposed to be.
This is with the correct setup, 2 sticks of RAM in dual channel. We got a score of 2612 on memory mark. Grand Theft Auto 5 ran great with a 0.1% of 81. Running in dual channel definitely helped out Cyberpunk, just not as much, probably just because of the age of the processor. Here's the Cinemage score with 2 sticks of RAM in dual channel.
Alright, this configuration is what happens when someone buys a triple channel kit and just throws it in. Or you just end up finding another stick of RAM and just try throwing it in and see what happens.
Alright, with this test we got 3 sticks of RAM. Interestingly, it still shows dual channel. So I guess that kind of proves that right, or wrong, whichever way you look at it. We scored a 2672 in memory mark. Grand Theft Auto 5 is running just as good as it did with 2 sticks. Doesn't seem like it hurt its performance at all. Just like Grand Theft Auto 5, Cyberpunk didn't see an increase or a decrease from adding that 3rd stick. We did see a decrease in our Cinemage score though.
Alright, so this is the easiest way to have it configured. You don't even have to look at your motherboard's manual to figure this one out. You just see an open slot and you just jam some RAM in there. It doesn't even have to be the same capacity or the same speed. Just remember that the lowest speed that you put in there, all the RAM will run at that speed.
So for the last test for DDR3, we got 32 gigabytes in dual channel. All 4 slots are filled. We scored a 2729 in memory mark. Grand Theft Auto 5 is running great with a 0.1% of 85. Cyberpunk 2077 seems to really like the 32 gigabytes of RAM. We're definitely seeing playable frame rates, at least in my opinion they're playable, at 41 frames per second for a 0.1. The 32 gigabytes didn't really seem to help out our Cinemage score though.
We're going to do all the same tests with the DDR4 setup just to see if there's any difference. And I'm not going to show you each individual configuration, just try to keep from boring you too much. But all the tests will be done in the same way and in the same order.
Okay, we got one single stick of RAM, 16 gigabytes. We scored a 2525 on memory mark. It took quite a while to get Grand Theft Auto to stutter, but once I started getting a few explosions, we got our 0.1% down to 6 frames per second. Cyberpunk 2077 ran pretty good with this one stick of RAM with a 0.1% of 28 frames per second. Here's our Cinebench score for one stick of DDR4 16 gigabytes. Two sticks of RAM, we are still in single channel. We scored a 2591 on our memory mark. Same thing as DDR3, we didn't see any increase in performance once we started getting explosions on Grand Theft Auto 5. Cyberpunk 2077, same thing. After a little bit of chaos and everything, we were 0.1% was 27 frames per second. Here's our Cinebench scores for two sticks in single channel. Alright, with two sticks of RAM in the correct configuration, so we're actually using our dual channel. We scored a 3287 in memory mark. Grand Theft Auto 5 ran great. I played for quite a while, causing a lot of chaos, trying to get the frames per second to drop. We ended up with a 0.1 FPS of 91. Cyberpunk seen a nice boost in frames per second. We got a 0.1% up to 55 frames per second. Here's our Cinebench score for two sticks of RAM in dual channel. Alright, with three sticks of RAM, we're still showing dual channel. We scored a 3255 for memory mark. Seen a little bit worse scores for Grand Theft Auto 5. We also seen a drop in performance with Cyberpunk 2077. Our Cinebench score dropped a little bit with three sticks as well. Alright, with all our RAM slots filled, we scored 3298 with memory mark. Grand Theft Auto 5 is back up to running great with a minimum FPS of 89-90 frames per second. Cyberpunk 2077 is running great with a 0.1% of 41 frames per second. Well, what did we learn? So, if you have two sticks of RAM, make sure they're running in dual channel. If you have three sticks of RAM, you could be hurting your performance in some applications. More so with DDR4 than DDR3 though. Check your manual, see how you should have your RAM installed whenever you're building a computer. That's the end of the video. If you liked it, hit like. If you hated it, hey, that's cool, man, hit dislike. If you're not subscribed and you like this kind of stuff, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you got any suggestions for other videos, let me know. Hell, I'll see what I can do. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.